This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com. This show is brought to you by Slice on Broadway, supporting Pittsburgh podcasting with the perfect pepperoni pizza. Production services by Sidekick Media Services. And listeners like you, supporting us at patreon.com/AwesomeCast. It's time to get geeky, get awesome. It is the AwesomeCast. I'm Mike Sorg at Sorgatron on the social medias in the Sorgatron Media Studios in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, hanging out with you guys here this evening. Going to get geeky with everybody. And we're going to have a lot of fun here. And we're getting some old tech. We're getting some new apps. And who knows what else we'll get into here on the show. And if you're with us live, intern John is in the chat rooms. Please have a chat with them over there. But with me helping out with the chatter tonight, the tech chatter tonight, is Dave Ponner of the iPhoneography Podcast. Hello, sir.
Sorg, how you doing tonight?
All right. It is a Pens night in Pittsburgh, apparently, so we're without the Dutters. Yes. But thank you for pitching in here tonight once again. It's good. I love our conversations. We get to catch up once a week on either this or wrestling, depending on how the configuration goes, right?
Exactly.
You're a utility player, Dave.
I can go from the right side or the left side. That baseball reference.
Oh, it's okay. Thank you. I didn't know where we're going. We're not that kind of show, Dave.
It's sports ball.
Oh, we're not that kind of show either. So honestly, anyways, we're gonna get into geeky things. Also, programming note: next week, I'm in Phoenix for a thing next week. So we will not be doing the show live. I'm hoping to do a pre-tape or maybe a live thing on Monday, trying to see who's available for that kind of situation. So stay tuned for that. Are you, Dave, are you pantomiming things in the background, or are you talking to your cat? What's happening right now?
I'm talking to a cat. I'm talking to Leo.
Okay.
And he's up here and I'm petting him and he bit me again.
Okay. All right. It's very Animal Day. Also, probably in 2 weeks, I'm probably going to be doing the show once again from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Because it's that time of the year where I go do a workshop. I'm not going to say I don't understand everything that's happening. I have a very good idea, but I couldn't do any of it. So, anyways, I love tech chatter. Even if it's like a little over my head. It's like it's programming for artificial intelligence and interfacing with car mechanics. So I'm kind of lost on two fronts. But anyways. This is the AwesomeCast. Let's get into our awesome thing of the week.
Thing of the week.
Let me go first because I know yours carries over to the awesome old thing, and we're gonna have to put a break in there too. So let's roll with that. So this is something that I discovered today in my feed, and this is I want to say potentially awesome thing because I haven't dug too deep into this thing. So Icon Factory is the company developer, individual. I think it's an independent developer, probably a small team. That it brought us things like Twitterific, like really good Twitter apps back when Twitter really needed it and could actually support it and cared about that kind of stuff. That was way before the Elon days, in the X days, by the way. They're cutting APIs left and right here in like the 2010s. So it's a long-standing thing. But these guys were always great and still making apps. So when I heard that they put out a new app that integrated a lot of feeds, including some Blue Sky and Mastodon feeds into it, I had to jump on board it. So this is one called Tapestry. And you can go get it it's on iOS right now. So you can get the iPhone version, you get the iPad version. You can actually download the iPad version onto Mac OS if you're one of the newer OS versions that support the iOS kind of stuff, right? So that's out there. It is free. There are notifications about in-app purchases, but I haven't run into them yet. There's a subscription page that I hadn't gone into. I'm really just kind of dropping my info in and had it up for the last couple hours to kind of see how it worked. This is really feels like it throws back to RSS feed kind of days, at least for what's coming in for me right now. Now, like I said, so Blue Sky, Mastodon, so it feels like it should be like your Twitter feed kind of situation. But it does have old school RSS feeds. You can put in your favorite YouTube channels to see when there's updates on them, Reddit feeds. Tumblr is in here, podcast feeds, like anything like that that's going to shoot out like an XML feed. It looks like you could dump into something like this, which is sorry, I'm getting into class mode because we just went over RSS feeds last week in class. So I'm getting in. I want to like explain out an RSS feed for some reason, but I think our audience for the most part knows what's going on with that. But yeah, so anyways, it's your own timeline. It's totally they're pushing it as a totally private kind of situation. And again, this seems like kind of an alternative. It seems like a build your own timeline kind of situation for people that are getting tired of algorithms and things like that across everything. So and it's really slick and everything. And here I do have it on board on this computer here right now. I haven't been successful in getting in. I've made my connections to things like Mastodon and Blue Sky, but I just have kind of the recommended stuff in here. So I have a lot of stuff from The Onion, for instance, 6 Colors, which is an Apple an Apple computer blog and everything like that. So and again, I have Calvin and Hobbes, for instance, from Go Comics, like the daily repost and things like that. It is really slick. It does kind of take me back to the days when Flipboard was really interesting or in stuff like that. So I'm really interested to see how this is going to look as we go, as it kind of brings in more of those feeds. So you can go in here. There are ads in here. I will put this out too. They kind of stick out more. It does say ad on the side where you see how old some of these posts are, for instance. But hey, there's a accidental tech podcast. So you can see how the feeds kind of look, and the player is definitely in here. Again, these are all from the recommendations. I'm still kind of importing things. Justine from YouTube was a recommendation, so her last video from 6 days ago is in this feed. So again, if you just want something that kind of is that kind of feed dump of everything you're interested in, whether it be news sites, whether it be YouTube, well, be just like your kind of top thing, I think it's kind of a cool thing. I'm trying to figure out how it fits into my life with the other feeds. If it suitably brings in things like those Mastodon and those Blue Sky feeds, that's actually, I feel like that's really good. So it does like actually connect to your account. So I'm logged in with my Mastodon and Blue Sky, but I haven't seen why it's not bringing in like those feeds yet or anything like that. Maybe it's just like it takes some time to populate or something like that. I'm actually going to bring up my my iPhone version and see if it's got anything different going on. But yeah, but you can set up like your general timelines and things like that. In this case, it is. Yeah, I'm still working on figuring out the settings on this. But again, it's pretty new. Again, I think it was mostly kind of announced via. I think I saw it via the Verge today, via Apple News. So it was like a recent post for something like this. Dave, are you trying to solve this multiple feed problem? Does this seem like a tool that would help out for you?
Partially, but I'm also interested in multiple posting.
Oh, honey. Oh, yeah. Well, so that's a different problem, and I have some tools for you if you'd like to review those that we've talked about before. But, yeah, tell me more about your pain points.
Well, it's like with photography things that for me to hit, because it isn't like I'm a large content creator. I do not have tens of thousands of followers. I have tens, in some places, even hundreds of followers. But like Twitter, which some people are still there, Blue Sky, Threads, couple on a Discord server I'm on, and what is it? Substack, which I joined. I was trying to remember the name of it. There's probably not a lot of overlap. So there are people that like follow me on Threads and may probably also follow me on Instagram just because they're how connected, but the interaction's more on Threads than it is on Instagram. And then you have the Blue Sky people who don't a lot of times use any of the meta platforms. So it's a matter of, just trying to, if you want to get information out, as you were telling intern John before we were going live, where, it's like post anywhere it makes sense. And just because everything's trying to close up, Twitter, Thread. I don't know how open Threads is in terms of APIs and such. Probably not. We all remember at one time when you could post something to Facebook and it would go to Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah.
And everyone talked to each other. because
And
they just want to spread information.
And everybody shut it all down for some reason, right? And it's basically like, especially as they get bigger, they want you to stay. They want to they want to keep those numbers up, and they want you to stay and keep all that stuff going, right? So like I understand the motivation, but it really sucks for anything, especially companies that are also claiming like, oh, we're going to make you talk to the Federverse and everything like this, right? So again, it depends on what you need to do. You do need to kind of figure out that path if you do want to cover all the bases, right?
But I would say if you're someone who basically has sworn off Meta and Twitter, this sounds good as a reader app.
But for a reader app, yes. And again, that's just input, right? That's not you out, or that's input to you, output from the internet to you. Oh God.
It's input.
I'm mixing up my output.
It's input to you.
You're not outputting.
You would give output.
Yes. Yeah. This is for receiving. So I'm going to review. We talked about this before, but since we're on this topic, I'm going to do real quick reviews of the tools that I have had to help. First of all, if you're looking at the Meta platforms, I should just diagram what I do. So one of these times, somebody draw a picture for me while I'm doing this on like Apple Freeform or something. Yeah, you're just like waving your arm around. Yeah, there you go. This is where we need the whiteboard, right? So
you need the blackboard with the strings.
So I have two scenarios because it depends on if I'm for personal or for the podcast and everything, right? So first of all, obviously, if you're in Facebook on the app and you post something, depending on its media, it can go out to Threads and Facebook. If you're on Instagram, it can go to Threads and Facebook if it works out. If you're mixing media, doing anything special, it's going to get weird. I use ifttt.com, and that I do have certain reposts. Like when I post to YouTube, it goes out to the appropriate YouTube account. Twitter account. It does integrates Mastodon, but only if you're on a Mastodon.social server. If you have your own server, if you're on an alternate server, you can't apply. At last I saw over there, I do have that every time Instagram, because I've given up on hands-on with my Twitter feed right now, but I don't want it to be empty because a lot of people will find me there. So I wanted to at least redirect to everything else going on with me. So Instagram with If This Then That will repost at least the first image with a link to the entire post, right? And of course YouTube's and things like that for my personal account. Every time I'll get in there, I'll retweet stuff from the podcast, and when I'm just bored and just kind of going through things, right? Now, for the new guys, there's two things for my personal. Again, siloing things real quick. For my personal, I'm using something called micro.blog. This starts at about $5 a month. And this is a nice post once, send everywhere. It does cover, this is just for my Sorgatron accounts. And once again, if you go to sources, it does have, you can post once and go to Mastodon and Blue Sky, I think are the most important here, but you can also do PixelFed, Nostr, Flickr, Tumblr, LinkedIn, and Medium if you would like. The stuff I want to post to these are not necessarily something I want to go to LinkedIn. If it had a toggle, I'd be kind of down for this, right? Now, you can also add to it, and I could pay for, I think for like $10, $15 a month, I can add multiple accounts. So I could have one for AwesomeCast, Wrestling Mayhem Show, and then do a lot of it through here. And it does handle it, because it is the three main ones that I'm concerned with. Threads, Blue Sky, and Mastodon, which is the most difficult for me to multitask, right? Or to multi-post. It is nice, clean. It gets a little weird with videos, mixed media, things like that. If it's something that's too many characters or it can't handle, it instead of the media pushing out, it's going to push a link to this post, right? On this quote-unquote microblog. But then it's there. If you're like, oh, Blue Sky went away tomorrow, all your posts are over on this site. You're no longer worried about, if your starting point is always this site, you're no longer worried about portability or anything like that. You're not worried about, oh, you just click the thing, or if you just don't want to be that, you just want to broadcast to a platform to have an existence there because that's what you want to do because you're a creative or whatever. You can make that decision. I mean, I kind of want to just throw on Tumblr just for the hell of it, right? PixelFed is PixelFed the ad protocol Instagram kind of thing. Is that right?
Yeah.
I might as well
Yeah,
turn
but
that on.
I don't think anyone's built anything popular off of it yet.
No, but even if I
But
go
it is there.
get my
It is
name on
there.
a server and start putting stuff in there, so when people do show up, I already have a presence.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's again putting yourself in front of things. If you're the one there, a lot of people listen to our Wrestling Mayhem show because we were like one of the first wrestling podcasts in 2006. Literally, there was like us and two other guys when you were on a platform, just put in pro wrestling, right? Now that's a little harder, right? But being a first mover on a platform is really important to because you don't know which one's going to blow up. Meerkat was a thing. We were just turning it on and getting 400 people watching us, which was tremendous. Back when Meerkat and Periscope were a thing. Always consider that. I feel like I'm pre-gaming my class for this week because I think we're covering social media. I'm just going to go down every social media rat hole. These kids are going to hate me. But anyways,
don't forget to mention tout.
Tout. God, I'm not going to do that to them. I'm trying so hard not to drop these inside jokes from 10 years ago when I'm talking to these kids, because I made too many comments about when to like DOS prompts and things when I did a web 10 years ago. The other one is Croissant. This is an app for the iPhone. I think there might be an Android version too. I pay $3. Nope, not that one. Hold on. I need to share this. It'll pop up in 1 second here. This is an app that again for your iOS device. It's really nice because it does give you can pull up, and this is the only problem is I seem to have regular problems with it not being able to reach some of the accounts. So this may be a protocol thing. This might be a developing thing. Might be because it's a new app.
I see threads.
Yeah, a Blue Sky. So
Blue Sky.
Again,
one Blue Sky. Looks
there
like
are more.
Works,
I think there's some more accounts. No, it's mostly Blue Sky, Mastodon, and Threads. So
okay.
Now I have again all the podcasts and my personal accounts are on here across all those three platforms, right? So the idea is just to show a sample here. Let's go ahead and select at least one of each and see what that looks like. So if you wanted to cross post all of these, so across the top, obviously one's got an issue. One of them's a Threads account that has an issue from the looks of things. All the threads have an issue right now, but you can see character counts and what's left out of all of them. Obviously, Blue Sky's a little lower with 276 after what I wrote. Actually, I'm on AwesomeCast now, and you're gonna go in there. You're gonna go to posts. You can change which ones that you're looking at. I'm actually just going to change these to my personals and everything because it's right now it's all over the place, to be honest. So AwesomeCast, and then you're going to click post and things going to pop up. And again, not every time. Sometimes I got to do this and say, I'm going to have to just copy and paste and go over to my Blue Sky and my Threads app or something like that. But generally, on the days that it works pretty damn good, right? So and crosses that over. You got to watch out for certain things. I do this on LinkedIn all the time. I go to upload a picture or video, hit click. I click next, not realizing the video is not uploaded, and it just posts the text. That's why there's a weird. I'm doing this again. I guess back to doing this or whatever it was the other day. There was a picture that was supposed to go with that from Microblog when I was using the web app for it or app. I can't remember. I can't remember things are web apps or apps at this point. But yeah, and then that's all kind of in there. The other one, honorable mention, I have not gone too far into this one. Open Vine, I believe it's called. Is that what it's called? Yeah, Open Vibe, excuse me. It's got a little octopus on it. So this one also does, it's supposed to pull in your feeds. Every time I go to it, though, all I see is Mastodon for some reason. And I can't remember what I connected this because I haven't been really kind of digging into this. But yeah, Open Vibe is another one. You go in your profiles and accounts and you do have, so it has, that's because I haven't added a Blue Sky. I don't think I was able to add a Blue Sky. So I actually have, I have Threads, Mastodon, and Blue Sky, and Nostr. I don't know Nostr, Nostr. I'm not familiar with that at all. But you go in, you log in, and ideally you have everything, and then you can post to just this one. I'm not sure how that works, actually. Oh, you hit this button up here, and it tells you what it's going to go to. So, yeah, you get this little kind of cross-post button, and you can turn on and off. I'm posting to Threads and Mastodon. I don't know if you can do more than one account on each. I don't think. I think it's just for a more of a personal kind of pusher kind of situation. So I think it's all. I think they're all worth looking at. Where am I at? There you go. But again, it depends on your workflow and what you're trying to accomplish, right? And you know, kind of we're in that weird experimental phase right now. So, you know, you got to find the one for you, and that has all the platforms that you're concerned with and everything like that. So, and this is all from somebody who wants to get their stuff out there, right? Obviously, when we talk about social media mindfulness, nobody needs to be on these platforms. You do not need to be here if you do not have like a job or, you know, something you're trying to get out there. And even if you are starting up with something like a podcast, like a, you know, want to do an Instagram feed or you know, photography, whatever the case may be, video producer, pick one, get super good at it, and then add another one, right? As your first time on these platforms. So so that is the whole sidebar there. Since Dave asked a question. So
going down the
rabbit hole. Any was it rat hole? The one podcast had a rat hole jingle.
Hole. That was
I believe it was Mac Break when Merlin Mann was still on there. So anyways, let's get to Dave Potter's awesome thing of the week.
Yep. And my thing is
the music key is perfect considering what you're going into, because it's very kind of rockapella-esque.
Oh, okay, that works. Most definitely. So my awesome thing actually started as a video game in the 80s, turned into a educational TV show in the early 90s, went back to another video game, turned into a Netflix series around 4 years ago, and now is an iOS game, if you have Netflix, based on the Netflix show.
Yes.
It's Carmen Sandiego.
I think I watched some of this show, honestly.
Yeah.
I feel like I watched some of this new cartoon. It was actually pretty decent.
Yeah, so the cartoon and the whole thing is now Carmen's no longer the villain. You are playing as Carmen trying to defeat Vile. So you're kind of a freelance secret agent. Trying to, so you can, the graphics there are pretty close, as far as I can tell, to what the Netflix series were. The voice, I don't want to say acting, but the voice prompts they have, it's not the best in the world. A lot of them are just repeated.
Very video game.
Yeah. But it's pretty close. It is definitely geared towards, this is not an intense, you know, I play a video game and I spend 200 hours trying to break it type thing. You'll get bored. If you're a fan of Carmen Sandiego from back in the day or the PBS series, you'll enjoy it. There is the whole, not only, you know, gaming, you have to beat certain things, and none of it's too hard because I can do it and I'm not a great gamer. But it does have geography involved, so it does give you clues and you have to figure out where you're going next, just like the old video game from back in the day. So it's like, okay, well, here are the clues. You know, this country has a flag that is blue and uses this type of currency. Which of the three countries here matches it? And you have like an internal little logbook you can compare to. So it like I said, it's a fun little game.
I'm ziplining. I'm Batman ziplining all across.
You have to get the timing just right for the zip line across. But like I said, it's none of these are overly hard. So
no.
it is very if you're looking like the suspect had black hair. That's all you know. So it goes in your little book. So it's a fun little game. There's a story involved and new areas. As your level goes up, you get more points, and it looks like there's going to be an entire long-term story that's involved with the whole game. I don't know how long the game is. Also, when it says you have 6 days to complete, that's 6 days in the game. So those are not 6 calendar days, in case you're wondering. So like, oh, you're going to investigate this. That takes 4 hours off your time.
Okay.
So it's not a real timer.
Okay.
So that was my first thought. I was like, oh, this level takes 7 days. I don't understand. No, it's an in-game 7 days.
Nobody has. There's not enough information. Nobody on howlongtobeat.com has
Yeah.
put a length on this yet. So
Yeah.
be the first to report.
But again, it's a fun game. It is educational, so it'd be good for early teens. You know, if just sit them down, and if they're fans of the Carmen series, play along. You, like I said, you do learn facts and figures about different cities and different areas, kind of like how Carmen started all those years ago. You know, we're talking, we're almost coming on 40 years of Carmen Sandiego. I think we are coming on 40 years as Carmen Sandiego as a video game.
And on that note, we want to go into our old tech of the week. But first, before we do that and carry over the Carmen Sandiego line, I do want to give a shout out to our friends on Patreon, patreon.com/awesomecast. There is a full Patreon feed there before the show, in between shows, and all that kind of stuff. You can see all the conversation that we don't have on the main show here. We have a certain mission on this show. This is the kind of things we want to talk about and not talk about on this show. And we get a little looser afterwards. So maybe ask our intern how a certain gig went this past weekend or something like that. And you guys can go check that out. Thank you, everybody that does support the show. And, of course, our friends at the manager level, Brian Crawford of New Pittsburgh Expedition. Go look them up online. And Cynthia Klosky over at Chips Collaborative, as well as John DeGore and my buddy Dave Podner supporting the show. There you go.
There I am.
Thank you guys. You can support the show too at patreon.com/awesomecast and keep this awesome train rolling and help us pay our server bills. Now, Dave, this harkened you back because you of course were attracted to this because you had some experience with the Carmen Sandiego game series in the past. Now there were a ton of games over the years.
Yeah, all the platforms.
It's kind of which one did you come across is the question, right?
Exactly. And it depended on what you had. If you had an Apple II or an Apple IIe, if you had an early IBM PC game, or PC thing you could do, or like me, I had a Commodore 64. So I had the Commodore 64 version, which ran on 5.25-inch floppies.
Oof.
And when we're talking floppy, we're literally talking they flopped. They did not have a hard case.
Not the fake hop floppies.
No, not the little 3.5 hard floppies. They are floppy.
Well, tell me what was on your floppy.
Now
Describe your floppy.
It was large and black.
Okay, and moving on. It would look like this.
Exactly. Large and black. See?
Uh-huh.
Now, the other thing that the game came with, because we're talking, you had bulletin boards.
Yeah.
You had CompuServe, but you didn't have online resources back in the 80s.
Not in 1987.
No. So it actually came with a World Almanac.
And Book of Facts from 1987.
Yes. And it actually, you had to use the Almanac to look up information they asked during the game.
Mm-hmm.
So it came across something, you had to get your Almanac, you had to open it up to a certain page, read it, and then type in your answer.
Mm-hmm. It really was an exercise in researching, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And it was really, like you can see kind of on the back of the box, it was very text-based. You had kind of a pixelated picture of like maybe a building or actually that looks like the World Trade Center and the Statue of Liberty.
It was, yeah.
So,
and by the way, one thing to remember is Commodore had the better graphics.
Comparatively, so that was
compared to PC.
87, 88. Okay.
I said better of the time. If you look at the time, Commodore had the better graphics. So that was considered not bad graphics and sound. So yeah, like I said, it was enjoyable. I enjoyed playing it back then. I enjoyed playing the game now. It is something, and the other thing, there are mini games in the new iOS version, which are, and they say, oh, we have some cold cases that you can solve if you want to. And they are direct ports of probably the PC version. And the graphics look like PC graphics from back in the day, DOS graphics.
Okay.
So to get your points, to get your level up, you have to do these cold cases. You just can't go straight on the timeline. So you're like, oh, you go into the case files. You're like, oh, and the gameplay is not updated. It's the gameplay from back in the day. So you miss. It looks very similar to that. Yes.
Here's a video. If you go with us on that of what this looked like on the, on the Commodore 64. Remember, these were the better graphics of the time. This is what we sat hours in front of.
You actually
Look
saw
at that. Look at
Mount Fuji there.
Mount Fuji and the blossom trees. You know, looks just about as good as that new Captain America movie, right? There you go. There you go. Okay, comparatively, I had a very similar experience. I got the NES version of Carmen Sandiego. It was Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego. And hold on, I get because it also came with a giant book, and I'm like, oh my god, what is this thing? And it was for those curious. Also, I thought it had the most interesting box art, probably out of all of them. There was no picture of Carmen Sandiego to be found on this box, by the way. It was this
what the
it is this
well for time
this cosplay crazy thing. Well, no, I guess that is Carmen Sandiego, isn't it? She has like a black hat for some reason. She's sitting on the bike. Okay, that's true. Okay. So
yeah, her thing's always the red hat.
And again, like, you know, it came in a big box. It came with I don't think the book was as big as what you had. But I'm trying to find out. It was an almanac of some sort, I believe. So NES, Nintendo version, high tech expressions, looking for it. But in the meantime, I do have what that one looked like. Like, I don't know. I want to compete with Konami was the one to put it out. Man, these Nintendo graphics were pretty hot at the time, Dave. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
Look at that stuff. Look at all the layering. Look at the cities. There you go.
Oh, my. And the facial features.
I spent some really good. This was, I think this was probably released tonight. Look at that panda. Look at that sweet panda. This is about 6 minutes of the game, apparently. So there's a little bit of movement, things like that. You were still fighting vile henchmen back in the day. And of course, everything was, I don't know, maybe you had to type your answer on your version, but it was more like a multiple choice situation for me.
It was multiple choice, but with the Commodore, you did have the full keyboard and the control, the joystick I had, which you didn't really use your joystick much. It was like the Atari joystick. But here, I want to show you. Let's see if we can see it here. That is the. Try to get. That's what and then it's still too bright. Let me get it down further here. This is what one of the retro mini games looks like.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah.
On the iOS.
Cool. I like it. So I found it. I found the book. I don't know why it's sideways, but this is the, it included a paperback, the New American Desk Encyclopedia. Oh. And I just remember this was a exercise in cross-referencing. You would go look up something. I can't remember if it alluded to page numbers or
mine did.
Like you went to the thing.
It did say page numbers because you had to have that year of the World Atlas.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the page numbers wouldn't match up year after year.
So you go to that and it would say this also is this leads, like it led to another clue, and you turn to that and that was the answer, right? Like somewhere else in the book. Like it was just the whole thing was an encyclopedia cross-referencing exercise, which is really important at the time, right? You know, to be able to navigate something like this, because this was our internet. It was, you know, I don't know. Did your family get the entire Encyclopedia Britannica thing that you never opened? Because we had it.
No, I had an old encyclopedia from like the 1960s or 1950s.
Oh yeah, it's from like the mid 80s or something. We never updated it after that, but you know, because I'm sure they were like, oh, my kid's going to be smart and go to college, and I went to art school. So you know, tell your. Anyways, I'm not getting into that because I think Mom might be watching.
One last thing, and one last thing is related. If you want to, if you've lived it once, or if you want to live it for the first time, you can find on YouTube entire episodes of the TV series from PBS, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, with full rockapella.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I am curious. I'm taking a real quick look on archive.org to see if there's got to be. They have to have a Carmen. Oh, you're in luck. You do not have to take your big black floppy out for this because you can go to archive.org and you can play several Carmen Sandiego games. So what we got here? We got some of these are a lot newer ones, but there's a lot of these load in the DOS box and emulators in the browser, which is always really, really cool. So here's just, I don't know, where on earth is Carmen
There's
Sandiego?
a math edition too. Wow.
Yes. Oh wait, is this clickable? My computer. Or is that just a picture of it? What's happening here?
I want to say it's
usually these are emulators.
Oh,
it was a desktop theme. I just ended up on the desktop theme. You have to look for the right things here. So let's try this one. 1997 Lonely Heart. Oh, this is just box art. Okay, these are just images so far. So, but there should be games. There's some videos on here too. It's amazing what's on archive.org. Yeah, if you're like, I wonder if this thing still exists. It might be out there. There's an entire series, like TV series, that are like out of print. I'm curious now. I'm gonna check on something real quick. Briscoe County Jr.
I'll say put on the rope so we can pull you out of the hole.
Okay, all right. We're getting out of it. I swear. Let's get into the back of the book here. There's other things going on. There's a lot of stories here. I want to bring up this before I forget about it. Let's stay with the AI side of things. I realized I didn't turn the TV on outside. But anyways, so people can see what's going on. There's still wrestling going on over there. So we talk about true media around the election, and it was something that was an AI-based thing that would help, identify deep fakes, fake stories, and things like that. So this is something, Blackbird AI is something I've been hearing about for a while, and this is the first time where I've seen something. It was more like the content producer for it's on This Week in Tech a lot, and they were on This Week talking about things, and just talking about whatever. But basically, my understanding of Blackbird AI was if you are a brand, let's say you're Coca-Cola, and you want to kind of get ahead of any bad press and misnomers and, bad information about what people, somebody saying Coca-Cola causes infertility, something crazy like that, right? And you want to kind of track down and nip that in the bud. This was something that would kind of reach out and kind of crawl and AI, apply some AI and help you with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in that vein, they have a product that this was actually, I believe, free to use. Just have to sign up for it, and I think I might use the Google account or something like that. It's called Compass Compass Context by Blackbird AI. And the idea is, again, like you can take something, a link to a post, and it will tell you, like, here's, it's showing Russian forces destroyed Ukrainian cargo ship, something. It says, hey, this is, how much confidence was AI generated, was the risk, and everything like that. And it'll cross-reference sources. It checks it at scale. So if you get into it, and let me get out here so that I can dig in to make sure I'm not showing anything. There it is. So you go sign up for this. You get this little prompt coming up here, and I just threw some random things in. I some random posts from X and Blue Sky. This was something, and again, it's political, but it's the easiest thing for it to kind of look at. Whether the president was criticizing a deal that he signed himself in his first term, and it gives you it looks at the tweet. Which was it actually linked to a video where he's talking about this and laughing about it or whatever, right? But you go into it and it says, this is actually true, intended to be significant improvement in predecessor New York Times, despite this, and so it does reference the facts next to where they got the facts from, in case this line is from the New York Times, this line is from CNN, this line is from Politico, so you can actually track back and kind of see where it came from and see if that actually does apply the way that the AI is kind of supposing this. I put wrestling stuff in here just for fun. So, for instance, where it claims in the text to involve a group called the Righteous Ones, which appears to be a fictional symbolic group rather than a well-documented organization. So that seemed to be more matter of fact narrative than factual information. And then it has a connection. It has a link to America Magazine, which I did not click back to. Oh, the Righteous Ones is an actual group not around wrestling. That kind of gets it kind of compounded the wrestling angle with like actual facts it thought it could be referenced to. So that's a little bit of miss, but also that's not what it's intended to, right? And then I don't know, there was something
and also on top next to content context, there's a vision where you can click a URL or paste an image.
I found that by accident. I found that by accident today, actually.
Because how many times, if you're on Facebook, you see someone post something like, "Oh my goodness, can you believe this image?" And AI's getting better with number of fingers. Still stinks with text, but you could say, guess what? This is AI.
Try to find the album art that I know. One of the podcasts I follow is definitely using AI album art, so I'm kind of curious if it would pick up on it, but I can't seem to get into it. Well, you know what? Let's just grab a random. Can we grab an image off of here? I just grab a random image and throw it in here and see what it does off of my computer. I might have an AI something on here. Actually, oh yeah, we use AI for art for this show. Yeah. So
for the image, yeah.
Yeah, let me grab one of those. So we're going to go in here and we're going to get this. It might take a second because it's downloading from iCloud. It's going to upload it. It sees it. It's analyzing the image. It's from 7/18. It was a very AI image I made. I pretty much just asked AI to make something based on the transcript. So there was like a jet in watches because we talked about Pebble watches last week. Obviously, we talked about AI. So there's just a giant AI in the background for no reason. Digitally manipulated. It looks like 68.5% confidence. Visual inconsistency is typical with AI generated content. Reflections on the ground lack depth, appearing flat instead of realistically distorted. It tells you what the clues are, which helps you learn what the problem is too.
Exactly.
Watch displays appear overly simplified with unusual design elements. Additionally, the Roxas exhaust trails show unnatural light patterns diverging from standard physics. The background grid also has a repetitive pattern inconsistent with breaks immersion, while the text layout has a regular alignment. These are the things that your brain is interpreting and looks at an image and says, that ain't right. and it just spelled it out for you. I think that's very cool. And there's when you can get into the API response in the code of what it's doing. Is fake,
that's
true,
nice.
Confidence, there's the percentage, down to, oh my God, there's like 20 numbers deep on that one. So I think you got a pretty good idea of how that works. That's really cool. So if you have a question mark on it, that's another tool for you. Again, that's compass.blackbird.ai. You can sign up for it. It's free for now. Because I always say for now on these things. Because
you never
ideally,
quite sure.
Well, again, I think they really target high level corporate B2B on these things. So I think that's going to be the customer base. I don't think it's going to be a consumer customer base like you and me.
They may offer this as either a teaser or just out there. Yeah. But if you want the full, you're a corporation. That's $100,000 or $50,000, especially if it's if you want to consider it not HR, but crisis, which a lot of people for PR, they don't handle crisis as well.
No.
No. Something comes up bad about your company and it takes you a day or two to respond.
Right. And that's precisely what this is for, to help get ahead of something like that. And even like an alert, kind of thing like, hey, Google alerts, make sure everything about me, again, if you're a food product, I'm thinking of Coca-Cola, if the term Coca-Cola comes up in an article along with food poisoning, let me know about it, would be a very smart thing, if you happen to be an agent for somebody, CEO John Smith arrested combination, make sure I get a Google alert for that, deal like that. But no, this would actually be, and it would be a little more proactive, I would believe, if you get into it, not knowing what the other side of it is, but I've heard them explain it a few times on the show, over the last year that they've been doing this. So, and it messes me up because Blackbird is also the name of, we had a therapist friend that I think we've had on back in the day that was doing a product called, also I think was called Blackbird. So I don't. It was pre-AI. It was like 10 years ago. I don't know if it's still up. It was more about mental health and maybe remote mental health, early remote mental health.
Oh,
if I'm
wow.
not mistaken. I have to go into the archives and double check what that is. So, anyways, Dave, it's your turn. What do you want to talk about in this line?
Let me see what I got here. Well, sticking on the positive because one I have is not as positive. This is from the Verge article. Apple has a new app out called Apple Invites.
Okay.
So this is a app. If you want to, I know a lot of people, a lot more back in the day, use Facebook groups to organize. Oh, we're gonna have a party here. We're having this going on, and a lot of people have kind of gotten away from using Facebook or other things. So, and now I will say this: you can only organize if you are an Apple user and you have one of the iCloud Plus plans, which if you're paying for any extra storage, you have an Apple Plus plan. But you can invite anyone, including Android people. So basically, you set up an invite, you can make the little sheet to make it, use a photo that you're bringing in, use one of their backgrounds, or talking about AI, use the digital playground AI to have a background suggested. You can select who you want to add, and you can put the date and time and put a map in there also. And then select who you want to go out to. Now, if it's an Android person, they'll get a web link. They don't have to have an iCloud account, so they don't have to do that. You have a start date, end date. It's really, it's pretty straight, easy, and forward. And actually, I saw this not from a normal news site, but someone saying, "Hey, here's a new Apple app." And it doesn't, you can see Playground on top if you wanted to do AI thing. And it looks like the Apple Sports app, which does not look like a normal iPhone app. So is this a new direction for Apple apps? Having, a lot more color, and are they going to make some kind of tweaks on how things look? So you can have this set up and people will respond. It'll give them, like I said, it'll give them a map if it's a physical location, and it'll give them the weather. So it's actually a pretty nice invite, everything put together.
Wow.
So you can see.
And I literally set all this up while we were going.
Yeah. And it's pretty straightforward. And you get some options down there with the different fonts if you want to change your font a little bit. You can see there's the weather. And yeah, now I haven't, yeah, there it is. And you can invite with the public link or invite individuals if you have your contacts here.
Okay, we're not going to do this on air.
No.
But oh no. Share to all 778 contacts? That's a terrible idea.
No.
It's only, oh no. Let's send it to AAA rules.
We didn't
so
see
it's
that.
like, how do I go back? No. Okay, we're getting out of there.
Okay. But
anyways.
Yeah, or like you said, you can do it with a public link.
Yeah.
So you can just do a link and send the link out. And then, like I said, you don't have to be an iPhone user, you don't have to be an Apple user, and you can respond. And also after the event, if you haven't, let's say you are an Android user and you sign up for an iCloud account, or you have an old iCloud account, you can actually post to a shared album all the photos.
This is not new. Like conceptually, like I remember Google Photos and Google Plus. Old social media network for kids out there that didn't go too far, but they had those kind of functionality. So I like to see that the good news of those platforms is coming across here.
Exactly, and I like the fact that, let's say you have people, and like I said, either you're going to have an Apple and Android phone. You're not there's really nothing else.
Yeah.
But let's say you are now, if you have an Android phone, you still, if you don't have an iCloud account, you can upload.
Yeah.
It is a limitation. But you're going to have a mix of people generally. So you can say, oh, by the way, use the link in the invite and upload your photos to the shared album. So it's easy for everyone to share their photos. of an event that happened.
I like it.
Because it's always, oh, can you text that to me? Can you do this? I was there too. Can you send that out?
Oh my God. Could you imagine? We had one event when we were in Florida. They had a Google Drive and they invited, although I don't know how, what you said it works with Android, right? So, so they had a Google Drive and asked everybody to submit their photos from the weekend to this Google Drive. And we put our professional photos in there too from the weekend. And I'm really interested. What if we could move to something like that for that? That's like a little cleaner kind of situation.
Right.
I think that could be a lot of fun for something like
I said,
that.
the only issue, if you have Android but you don't have an iCloud account.
Oh, okay.
You can, but if you have an iCloud account, remember you can create an iCloud account at no charge.
It's perfectly reasonable. Some people have an an Android phone, but a Mac computer.
Exactly.
Computer,
In that case, you have an iCloud account.
Yeah.
And then you could upload it using your iCloud account to the shared folder.
That's an extra. We're talking about a lot of.
It's an extra step.
We are talking about a lot of engineers that probably have Android. So that's probably not going to be a good idea.
I would say it's around half and half.
Yeah,
it's around half and half.
It depends. It depends on where they're at. Depends on the level of security required where they work.
Very true.
Is also a consideration on that. So, but anyways, so no, really, really cool. There was like, no, you hit the one thing I wanted to hit up. Actually, I want to say one quick thing, before we got about 5 minutes here, about, Image Playground. I've actually started integrating that a little bit, in my text messages with people, usually the close circle people at this point, but because you can bring it up just like we can bring up like GIFs and things like that on the side. So I go into Image Playground, pull something in, and sometimes a picture of that person, which I hate. I don't know, it's my self perception, but I hate what Image Playground does to my picture. It makes me. I feel like it makes me older than I think I look. If that makes sense,
No, it does. Yeah.
It adds far more gray than I have, and it's just like, no. It's like, stop adding 10 years to me. Okay. It's tough enough. But other than that, I need to figure out how I can tweak that a little bit. Like, no, a little more like this, but it kind of but no, I've had fun with that. It's just like things like, I think I had Katie holding a cat for some reason. Or I was trying to put I had Rizz with, what is the damn animal that we keep teasing him with? Not capybara. Is that it? Capybaras. Yeah. So I had him and just like capybaras surrounding him, and I had one where it was just like,
which is truly would be a happy place because they're happy little animals.
Like, yes. Oh my God. There was a puppy on the shoot today. Oh my God. It was the tiniest puppy. It was so adorable. Anyways, I think I put it in my Instagram feed. Anyways, jeez, that's sad. Sorry, I just saw something come up and I feel really bad about it on my social medias. On that note, yeah. So no, if you have the Apple, I think it's fun to kind of play with it. It's a couple generations in. Obviously, they just had they had an 18.3 drop. It's got some more updates.
That was the big one.
Apple
that was the big AI.
I need to figure out how to integrate more AI into my phone usage. That's my next thing. If anybody has any tips for that, please let me know. I have a button, but I never use it to go to ChatGPT because it comes into the voice version. I'm married, and if I just start talking, my wife just thinks I'm talking to her and asks what, on everything, and then which means the ChatGPT is going to hear her responding to me asking a question, not knowing what's going on, and it just doesn't work because it's very sensitive. You can't even have the TV on. If you talk about the one time that I was drinking and had Time Cop on and it started responding to Time Cop while I was sleeping for a while, and it was very, very interesting. But anyways, so Dave Bonner, thank you for joining me once again. iPhoneography podcast.
Yeah, Proc Prod pretty much everywhere on the socials.
Yes, makes it easy for me to tag you. And of course at Sorgatron on all the socials and everything like that. I will be of course Thursday night fights with our friends at 80 Wrestling, where we're teaching videography, live production with anybody who wants to come by and have some fun with us. And that's a free stream for you guys over on indiewrestling.us to see what's going on there. Seeing a lot of young talent. Like most of that talent is 2 years or under in the business. in the ring out of training. So it's really cool what we're doing there and experimenting. And it's cool that we've moved to the South Side at the One Escape Shop if you want to join us in person in the Pittsburgh area. And also, I keep forgetting the name of this, the Saguara Project, I think it is, in Pittsburgh. I'm going to check my calendar. I'm going to be there. I got tapped to help with a stream for a presentation about wrestlers that have been to Japan. So the Sangawa Project, is an 18-plus Japanese culture conference, I guess. I don't know if that's entirely how to interpret it, but you can check it out. There's some anime voice actors that are going to be there. For instance, it's going to be interesting. It'll be a new experience, and it's at the DoubleTree, downtown Pittsburgh. I think it's up there by the Steel Plaza and stuff. So you can check that out. Sangawasproject.com, and that's February 7th through 9th if you're interested in that. And of course, I got to attach to wrestling at the event because that is my life. So, and also some of our crew will be up in Erie, Pennsylvania for Big League Pro Wrestling up there doing a taping. So my wife will be going up with that. I may go up there. We'll see how things work out with things and vehicles and such. So after I'm done with my thing. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, intern John, for helping us out in the background for the show and getting the tweets out and everything and letting people know what's going on around here. And until then, you have been our awesome audience. Have an awesome week. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.
I'm Eamon.
I'm Merlin.
And we're a gay.
And his NB.
Are you a reality television connoisseur?
Do you like it discussed from an LGBTQ lens?
If so, A Gay and His NB is the podcast for you.
Hear us break down all your favorite guilty pleasure reality shows from Bravo, Drag Race, and just about everything in between.
Listen to A Gay and His NB on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.